Hi guys, how are you all doing today? Here we are on a Tuesday night at least in my area, as always. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here, as always. Those of you that are here every week, and those of you that are just here when you can be or catch the replay and join in that way, super duper appreciate it. So we might as well just jump right into it. This week, our intention. Every week the intention is released on Sunday. I like to release it a couple days before we meet here on Tuesday, so that way you have a little time to sit with yourself. Totally encourage you to do that, and just kind of see what comes up at first with the intention, and think about how it pertains to your life, or how it may not, how you might need to kind of tailor it and customize it a little bit for yourself to make it more fitting to your own life, your own path, your own wishes, whatnot. So this week I experience outward abundance through inward connection. I experience outward abundance through inward connection. So what does that make you think of as soon as you hear that right off the bat? How does it make you feel? What does it make you think of? What is your first reaction to it? What are the first thoughts that come to your mind? Often those are little cues from ourselves that cues from ourselves in ways that maybe we're not listening to ourselves. Just little tidbits. So I would lean into that. As always, each week I look at the energies that are around us. I look at where the planets are in the sky, what they're doing, looking at the positions that they hold and the power, the strengths, and the weaknesses they may have with their current position. I look at the aspects that they're making to each other, and then I find an intention that we can all share together, yet we can customize ourselves. Pardon me, there's a little family cold going around. Little kids, it's just inevitable. So, especially now that we're back in school. So, yeah, thinking about it at first by yourself, seeing what comes up. This week we have a full moon in the sign of Pisces. So happy full moon to all of you. Full moon is tomorrow night at 9:35 p.m. I believe. So the full moon is tomorrow night, and that is, we don't have any, there's like a lack of exact aspects this week. There's not a whole lot that's, excuse me. We don't have any exact aspects that are hitting each other, at least from the aspects that I look at, so, and consider for this. So the basis of it this week is the full moon in the sign of Pisces at 7 degrees, and the conditions that are surrounding the full moon. So there's a lot of talk right now about all of the planets that are in retrograde. This is the season of retrograde, where a lot of planets tend to go retrograde right around the same time, especially the outward planets. But at the time of the full moon, we have only 2 planets that are direct. So everything except for Jupiter, and I should have put a chart up on the screen for this to show you guys this, but everything but Jupiter and Mars, of course the sun and the moon, because those don't ever move in retrograde fashion. All the other planets, the inner planets, the traditional planets, and the outward planets, they're all in retrograde. We have Mercury in retrograde, Venus has been in retrograde for quite some time, Saturn itself has been in retrograde in Pisces, playing into the full moon there for a while now. Uranus is newly stationing to go retrograde, so Uranus is going to start to work, moves very, very slowly, but back a few degrees in the sign of Taurus. Neptune and Pluto, we've talked about all of those being in retrograde. So a big key signature of this is the fact that all these planets are retrograde during the full moon, except for Jupiter and Mars. And I think that that is significant. We have a benefic, we have a positive a positive planet, if you will, and a negative planet, a malefic, or a planet that tends to make things a little less favorable. I don't want to say positive, negative planet because I stay away from that, but we have a more favorable planet and a less favorable planet, let's say that, that are direct. So retrograde, we talk about it a lot, but let's just kind of review what retrograde means in general, since it plays such a key part here, and it feels like it just fits with Pisces, with this Pisces full moon too. So retrograde is when the planets, they don't actually stop and move backwards, but from our point of view, the planets stop moving forward in the zodiac and they start retracing their steps back in the sign, in the degrees of the zodiac. So they start to retrace the steps that they've already went over. So planets, they are moving forward, walking forward, and then they stop, and then they start to retrace their steps a little bit back, and they start to review things, they start to rework and start to revisit things, they start to think about changing things, or maybe there's realizations and things that you are seeing that maybe you didn't see before, starting to like have a realization maybe that things aren't quite right, or something's a little bit peculiar. So things can come up multiple times within retrogrades, due to the motion. We've talked about this a lot with Venus, so you're going to be familiar with that part of it. But there's this reviewing and there's this reworking and process going on. So while we have a majority of our planets within this reworking and revisiting and you know, possibly changing things going on, we have Jupiter, which happens to be the ruler of the sign of Pisces. Jupiter, wisdom, knowledge, abundance, luck, positivity, religion, law, things like that. And Mars, action, drive, motivation, movement, loudness. Feels kind of like a Pisces full moon, where Pisces itself is kind of like screaming connection, and I want to just say spirituality because that's my word, but it's not necessarily connection, just craving connection and completeness. You have Jupiter, the planet of knowledge, the planet of wisdom, the planet of Pisces, speaking loudly in a way with the planet of Mars. So full moon speaks loudly in the sign of Pisces. I feel like Mars and Jupiter, those being the only two direct planets, I feel like that speaks loudly to that that watery connection that Pisces has, that it gets from Jupiter, that that inner deep connection that we have within the sign of Pisces. So Jupiter is the knowledge and the wisdom and the knowing in the sign of Pisces, because it rules both Sagittarius and Pisces. In the sign of Pisces, it's the watery version of that. So it's the connection, it's the communion, it's the emotional version and the emotional aspect of that wisdom. So this is where we come into that connection, connection with spirit and connection to higher source. Hopefully you're following me and that makes a little bit of sense. So this week with our intention, I experience outward abundance through inward connection. The inward connection really coming from the sign of Pisces itself. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's the sign of completion and reviewing and processing things, and processing how things make us feel and how they make others feel. But it's, you know, in a way, it's also, in this way, in this completion way, it's also the sign that has, is stuck between two worlds. So Pisces has one foot in the physical world and one foot in the non-physical world. You see that by the representation of Pisces, of the two fish, one swimming upward and one swimming downward, one swimming upward towards the energetic field, and one fish swimming downward towards the material earthly plane. So I experience outward connection through inward. Sorry. I experience outward abundance through inward connection. I think this full moon in Pisces is telling us, I know it's telling us to look within us, to find that connection of source. Find that Jupiterian knowledge that you know to be true within your heart, within your soul. And it's going to light you up with fire. It's going to light you up just like Mars does. And I feel like there's that symbolism here with only these two planets being direct and the other planets being retrograde, of leaning into Jupiter, leaning into the knowledge of, the knowledge of the unknown, leading into the higher truths and the higher knowledges, and leaning into those by taking, we're taking action. We're showing up to live meditations, or we're doing our own ceremonies by ourselves, or, we're taking just a moment to pray for gratitude and thankfulness, or whatever it may be, how big or little it is for you, finding that connection. And Saturn sitting in the sign of Pisces too. Saturn, and the moon is going to come into a conjunction with Saturn just a couple hours before the full moon, so it's all still part of the full moon, but they'll be just a couple degrees apart. Saturn coming in with the full moon, when you have Saturn in the sign of Pisces, it brings out kind of the heavier side of Pisces. Maybe the more like melancholic, or the more pensive, the more the more reflective and serious side of Pisces. So when things are coming up within the sign of Pisces with Saturn there, these deep spiritual things, they might feel a little bit heavy. It might kind of feel like within the connection of Pisces, and connecting to Pisces with Saturn in the sign of Pisces, connecting to that Jupiter energy, there might almost be like a heaviness of letting something go and moving away from one thing. So maybe like if you're leaning into one belief, it's maybe moving away from another belief, or just letting go the weight, the emotional weight. So just emotional release too. Crying is a good thing sometimes, and Saturn in Pisces is totally a cry it out stress relief. But however it hits you, Saturn in the sign of Pisces, where the sign where the full moon is going to bring some sort of formalities or some sort of seriousness in between two realms. So that's because it's in the sign of Pisces. It's in this watery sign. Pisces is the least, in my opinion, the least tangible sign that there is, and it's one of the hardest to describe. It's very, very imaginative and very, very creative and very, very changing, very much mutable. Yeah, so I think with this full moon, I think pulling in that inward connection, and connecting to that source within us. And that's what I say. That's what I say here, and that's, hopefully that's something that you're able to entertain here. That connection within you, that is how you connect to God. That is how you connect to source. That is how you connect to spirit. Whatever your beliefs are, it all starts from within here, right? It's a feeling that is within you, and something that sometimes it can even just be hard to contain within you. But my realizations lately and just around all of this is that when the inside is calm, and the inside is connected, and listening to source and trusting our gut instincts and moving forward in a way that aligns with our highest path and with our highest potential, the outward stuff, it just kind of comes that way. It just comes your way. So through the inward connection, you're going to experience outward abundance. And it's just the universe working for you. It's just it's literally just that saying of what you put out into the universe comes back to you. If you're going to put out this connection's going to come back to you. If you're going to put out love, love is going to come back to you. Might be on its own time, but it's definitely going to. So that is, that's kind of what I'm thinking along with this full moon here in the sign of Pisces. Blue moon, don't think I said that in the beginning. Once in a blue moon, you get that phrase. Once in a blue moon, you get 2 full moons in 1 calendar month. So that's why this is a blue moon. So once in a blue moon, you get 2 full moons, and you're lucky enough to have 2 lunations. And this month, we are lucky enough to have that in the sign of Aquarius for the full moon, in the sign of Pisces. So that's what I want to lean into, is this deep inward connection here. And last week, I feel like this does play with last week a little bit. So if you weren't here last week, go back and check that out. So last week, in adversity and peace, intuition guides me. Intuition guides me. I feel like that, that has something kind of to do with today, with this week's intention too. So maybe, maybe it's kind of playing off, maybe it's kind of following along. I'm not really sure. Anyways, here we are. I experience outward abundance through inward connection. This wonderful Pisces full moon, the sign of connection, the sign of spirituality versus religion. There's kind of that like pop catchphrase. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. For me, that difference is what somebody else might tell you is the belief, or what the belief is that you feel within you, deeply within you. That doesn't mean what somebody tells you is wrong. That's just that very deep connection within you there. So that's with this intention. That's what we're aiming to tap into here. So let's get to it, huh? We have our white candle, our intentional candle, as always. I like to use white here because it's a universal color. It's a color of healing and of amplification, a color of purification, a color of clarity. It's a non-color, right? It's a lack of color, but it's a color, it represents those things. So that's why we use white here. So we're going to light our intentional candle, and as we do so, we're going to focus on our intention. So feel free to say the intention out loud with me. If not, say it quietly to yourself. I experience outward abundance through inward connection. I experience outward abundance through inward connection. So, for today's meditation, if you are able to, if not, don't worry about it. But we're going to start in a little different position. I always say to sit however is comfortable for you, or sit up or lay down or whatever it is that you need to do. But if you are able to sit on a surface and bring your knees up in front of you, your feet flat on the floor, or some sort of variation of this. See my knees up there on the front of the screen. So I want us to start in a different position. I want us to start in the seated position, if possible. You can also do this laying down. If the seated part doesn't work for you, you could lay down, and you could you could cradle your knees up to your chest as well. But I want us to, if that doesn't work also, you could sit in like a child's pose, like a yoga child's pose. That would work as well. But make your way to this little cradled position where you're kind of holding yourself. So I'm going to bring my hands up a little bit first. Maybe I should have altered the camera a little bit, but we'll make this work. So I'm clasping my elbows here, and I'm bringing them down over my knees, like this, till my legs aren't going to fall forward, and I'm holding my legs, and I'm supporting myself. So that's the key here, is I want you to feel yourself supporting yourself. And if it feels comfortable, I encourage you to even bow your head forward a little bit. So maybe your feet are planted firmly on the ground. Maybe you can feel that surface below your feet. Or if you're laying down, maybe you feel that surface below your back. But you feel the surface below you. So you feel the surface below you supporting you. And then you feel yourself supporting yourself with your arms wrapped around your legs, wrapped around your knees or your ankles or whatever works best for you. And just take some deep breaths here. Just lean into the comfort of your own body, however easy or difficult that is for you to do. Be gentle and easy with yourself here. Feel the support that you have, the support that you're providing to yourself. And within this posture, see if you can go just a little bit deeper inward. See if you can make that connection a little bit deeper. Whether that means moving your body in a little closer, lowering your head a little more, lengthening your breath a little bit longer. I want you to spend just a few moments bringing your attention and your energy inward. See how tight you can get that ball of energy. See how focused and concentrated inward on your own self and your own being, your own emotions and your own thoughts. How deep can you get? How vulnerable can you allow yourself to be? Pisces is a sign of vulnerability. A sign of emotionality and completeness. A sign of intuition and creativity. Here the moon sits with Saturn. Bringing a sense of seriousness, a tone of rigidity. Saturn in the sign of Pisces is a placement of letting go of hard things, realizations that are not easy, choices and decisions to make that are not always easy or clear. Sometimes we really just need to lean into our own energy, perhaps take up a little smaller amount of space. That's not by minimizing ourselves, but just focusing our energy where it's needed. And if you're able to rest your head or your chin physically on your body somewhere, whether it's your knees or bringing up your arms like this, feel free to look for a moment. Physically and energetically leaning into this vessel, into this body that you were given for this lifetime. Pisces may be the temple of Jupiter, but this body is the temple of you in this life that you are currently holding. This body is a vessel for your eternal energy and your material energy, some of which will pass on with this lifetimes and other will transcend time and space. Inward connection. Going within your being, deep within yourself. And in there you will hear and find a nice little voice. It might be an awfully quiet voice. You might have to listen really hard. But deep within you, there is a voice that guides you. And that guidance Source, Creator, God, the absolute, the all-knowing, and the all-loving. Right within your vessel. And here within your vessel, you are free to review, to rework, and recreate, to reinvent, to reimagine, to recreate as you see fit. I experience outward abundance through inward connection. And now I want you to take this posture, this body, and this energy of yours, and I want you to expand it. So, release your arms from your knees or your legs. Release your knees from each other. Come into a cross-leg position. Or, if you have the room, today I invite you to extend your legs out wide if you can, or however is comfortable. Now, we take our energy and we expand it. And now we take up space. So slowly bringing our legs down and expanding them out as far as we're able and our own limitations. And now your arms. Your arms extend down at your side. Pisces, ruled by the planet Jupiter. The large, expansive, blows up everything it touches Jupiter. I experience outward abundance through inward connection. You deserve abundance. You deserve to take up space when you need to, and you deserve to contract your energy when you need to. As we continue to expand our energy, our space, and our being, maybe our arms that were down at our side slowly start to creep up. As your arms start to creep up, start to take a nice deep breath in. Breathing in, arms continuing to raise overhead. Feel free to alter as needed. And on the exhale, release your arms down, extending your arms out as wide as you can, taking up as much space as you are possibly able to. releasing the breath. And the next inhale in. Bring your arms up once more. And as your breath inhales, let your abdomen extend as your arms slowly raise up, taking up as much space as you possibly can. Breathing in, and at the top of your breath, your arms are up overhead, reaching towards the sky, reaching towards the connection. The fish swimming upward. And release your arms down as you release your breath. And your arms slowly come down at your side, just like the fish swimming down towards the material world. Do that 2 more times, your own pace. Breathing in and expanding. Taking up space, allowing your energy to fill the room. Together we meet the bottom of the breath momentarily. Arms back down at your side, perhaps touching the space below you, making contact with the physical space below you. Feel free to push your hands into that space below you. Feel the groundedness below you. Feel the connection to earth, even if it's not the earth directly below you. I experience outward abundance through inward connection. Pushing our hands into the surface below us, we once again are able to lean forward and lean into our body. Lean into this vessel that is the chariot for our energy for this lifetime. Lean into your body. Lean into that inner connection. With each breath, I want you to feel yourself leaning into your body a little bit more. Eventually, the tension starts to melt away from your body. Your abdomen softens, as does your chest. Your shoulders relax, maybe they roll forward. The neck softens and releases. Lastly, your head perhaps rolls forward. Into a posture of surrender and leaning into this vessel, leaning into this full moon, leaning into the sign of Pisces, leaning into the retrogrades and all of the lessons that they are here to teach us. The new ones and the ones that repeat themselves. Now from this posture of leaning into and letting go and relaxing, I want you to transition back to taking up space, whatever that means for you. Perhaps your spine straightens and you sit or stand tall and erect, shoulders back. Head held high. Maybe your arms start to come up to wherever is comfortable for you. Taking up space in whatever way feels most comfortable and natural to you. Expansion, abundance, luck, and goodwill. My hands kiss overhead and then move together, palms touching, fingertips together. Hands coming down to my heart space. I experience outward abundance through inward connection. Aligning with our highest potential, our highest path, our most abundant path starts from within here. Starts from within our heart, within our soul. It's only cheesy because it's true. The external abundances, outward abundances, the blessings from other sources comes once there is contentment within us. my hope for you this week is that within the full moon and within every day beyond that, you remember that inward connection and how important it is. The full moon is exact tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, in effect for today, tomorrow, and the day after that. Little more lenience on the aftermath portion because of how early the early degree, 7 degrees, 7 out of 30 degrees, the full moon is occurring at. So tonight, tomorrow, and the next night, whatever your full moon things are, do them. If you don't have any full moon things, that's okay. Start something. The sign of Pisces and the mutable sign that is changeable and impressionable. And it's impressionable in the way that it actually takes in what it hears and what it experiences, and it feels it, and it learns from it. And there's a heaviness within that because it doesn't just, Pisces doesn't dismiss, okay? Pisces takes the thing and works with it and continues to work with it. So, thank you, all of you, for being here. As always, take a look at that full moon when it rises up tonight and tomorrow if you get a chance where you are, if you're so lucky. And say a little prayer to Jupiter. Say a little prayer to the ruler of this full moon, the ruler of the sign of Pisces, Jupiter. The watery temple of knowledge, okay? The fluid and intuitive temple of knowledge. The creative and loving-hearted sign. So I will see you next Tuesday. Take a look for the intention next Sunday. You can find, like I said in the beginning, the intentions are always released on Sundays. You can find that on our Facebook page. You can find it on the Instagram page. You can find it on the community tab of our YouTube channel, and you can find it at meditativeastrology.com, which is the hub for all things meditative astrology. That's where you can find our latest replay, and you can find the latest intention. You can find bookings for readings there. You can find information about me if you're interested in that. All the things meditative astrology, meditativeastrology.com. So, yeah. Thank you, all of you. As always, I'm here. Reach out. Have a great week. Thank you. Happy full moon.